The Tale of Setna and the Book of Thoth. By Egyptian Classical Tales. Brought to you by TellStory.net, stories from around the world. Prince Setna Kamwaset, fourth son of the great pharaoh Ramesses, was unlike his brothers. While they drilled with soldiers and learned statecraft, Setna spent his days in the libraries of Memphis, poring over ancient texts and practicing the art of magic. He could read the oldest hieroglyphs and recite spells that made even the high priests hesitate. One day, searching through a crumbling papyrus, he read of a book unlike any other, the Book of Thoth, set down by the god of wisdom himself. Whoever read it would hear the language of all living creatures, could command the forces of sky and earth, and would know the secrets of the deep. Setna searched every scroll and tablet he could find until he traced what had become of it. The book had been sealed inside the tomb of Prince Neferkaptah in the necropolis of Memphis, buried there by divine will long ago. He could think of nothing else. Setna took his foster brother Aineros and went to the necropolis. They found the entrance to Neferkaptah's tomb and broke through the seals. As they descended the passage, a faint golden light rose to meet them, steady, sourceless, and cold. At the bottom, in the burial chamber, 3 ghostly figures stood among the sarcophagi. Their forms were pale as river mist, but their eyes were sharp. A woman, a man in a prince's regalia, and a young boy.
I am Ahura. This is my husband Neferkaptah and our son Merib. Before you go any further, hear what brought us to this place.
Setna waited. Aineros pressed close behind him.
Neferkaptah was a prince who loved learning as you do, and he heard of the Book of Thoth and gave himself no peace until he found a way to reach it. He learned that the god had hidden it in the Nile near Koptos, sealed inside box within box, iron, then bronze, then sycamore, then ivory and ebony, then silver, then gold, and the whole nest of boxes guarded by an immortal snake and a swarm of scorpions that could not be killed. We sailed to Koptos together, all 3 of us. Neferkaptah performed the rituals and dove into the sacred water. He found the boxes exactly where the old writings said they would be. The snake came at him, and he struck it down with his blade, but it drew itself back together and came again. He cut it apart a second time, and still it rejoined. The 3rd time he cut it, he laid sand between the pieces so the halves could not find each other. Then he opened box after box until he held the Book of Thoth. He read it twice through. He could hear the fish deep in the river and the birds naming the stars. He saw the gods moving in their halls as if they were across the room. But the moment he closed the book, Thoth stood before Ra and said that this mortal had taken what belonged to the divine, and that justice must be done. Ra's answer came on the river. Our son Merib leaned over the side of the boat to trail his hand in the water, and the current pulled him under. He was a strong boy, and the day was calm, but he did not come back up. I could not bear it. I went in after him. Our bodies rest in the river near Koptos to this day, but our souls returned here to be with Neferkaptah. He wrote down all the spells on a new sheet of papyrus and placed it with his wrappings, then followed us into death.
I am sorry for your loss, but I have come for the book.
Then we play for it. 3 games of drafts. If you win the most, the book is yours.
A game board appeared between them, ebony and ivory, with golden laid squares and 2 sets of pieces, one of dark stone and one of pale. Aineros moved back against the wall. They played the first game. Setna played well, but Neferkaptah had been in the dark for centuries with nothing to do but think. He won the game. Then he took the board and pressed it against Setna's head, and the stone floor rose up and swallowed Setna to his ankles. They played the second game. Again Neferkaptah won. Again the board came down. Now the stone held Setna to his hips.
Run to the palace. Bring the amulets quickly.
They played the third game. Neferkaptah moved with calm certainty and Setna with growing desperation, but the outcome was the same. The board came down one more time, and the stone rose to Setna's neck, leaving only his head and one outstretched arm above the floor. Aineros came running back into the chamber and threw a small blue amulet down to Setna. Setna caught it, reached with his free hand, and pulled the golden box to himself. He wrested the book free and thrust the amulet toward the stone. The floor released him. He ran up the passage, out into daylight, book clutched to his chest, Aineros at his heels. Behind them, from far below, came Nainforcapta's voice, unhurried.
He will bring it back.
4 days after, Setna carried the Book of Thoth with him everywhere. He read it in the temple of Thoth, sitting in the colonnaded courtyard in the open air. He could hear the sparrows debating on the roof tiles and understood the slow, grinding thoughts of the crocodiles in the river. He felt himself brilliantly, dangerously alive. Then one morning he saw her. She was crossing the courtyard with a small group of servants tall, in fine white linen, her hair dark and her eyes steady. He had never seen anyone like her. He sent a servant to ask who she was. The answer came back, Tabubu, daughter of a priest of Batet. Setna had no peace after that. He sent a message to her house. He sent gifts. He told her through his servants that he would give her whatever she wished if she would meet with him. Tabubu agreed to receive him. When Setna arrived at her house, she welcomed him calmly and led him to an upper room furnished with cedar and linen. He sat across from her, certain this was the moment.
Before anything else, sign over your houses, your land, and your gold to me by legal deed. I want nothing left for your children to inherit. Your children will cause trouble over the property one day. Have them killed.
Setna's judgment was already clouded. He agreed. He called for scribes, and deeds were written and sealed. When his children arrived at the door to ask what was happening, Tabuba had them sent away. Setna looked at her. Some part of him knew what he was agreeing to. He agreed anyway. The children were brought in. They were killed. Their bodies were thrown from the window to the dogs and cats in the street below. Setna raised his cup. Tabubu sat across from him. He reached toward her. He was lying in the street. The floor of the room, the house all gone. He was on his back outside the temple of Thoth, naked in the dust, with no memory of how he had come there. The pharaoh's litter passed. Ramesses looked down and saw his son lying in the road. Setna told him. The tomb. The book. Tabubu. The deeds. The children. All of it. He told it in a flat voice because he had no other.
Go home and look for your children. These were visions made by Nainforcapta to show you what happens to those who hold the Book of Thoth. Return it to the tomb, Setna. Take it back with a palm branch in your hand, as a penitent goes. If you do not return it freely, worse will come.
Setna did not argue. He went back to the necropolis alone, carrying a palm branch, wearing only a simple linen cloth. He descended into the tomb. The golden light still burned below. Nainforcapta sat waiting as if no time had passed. Setna placed the book on the floor in front of him.
I return what I took. I understand now what it costs.
Nainforcapta looked at him steadily.
There is one more thing. Ahura and Merib lie in the river near Koptos. Their bodies have never been brought home. We three should rest in the same place.
Setna left Memphis and traveled south to Koptos. He went with a local priest who burned sand in a brazier and followed the smoke across the water. After 3 days, the smoke drifted out over the surface of the river and would not go further. They dove there and found 2 sarcophagi resting in the mud below. Setna brought them back to Memphis. He carried Ahura and Merib into Nainforcapta's tomb and laid them beside him. Then the entrance was sealed, and workers came to pack the shaft with rubble until no trace of the doorway remained. The golden light, those who had seen it said, was gone from the tomb. The 3 who rested there were together at last, and quiet.